This is the new Mercedes GLS, and it's a little bit like a minibus version of the S-Class. So same Mercedes luxury, technology and quality, but space inside for 7 people. Oh, and it can go off-road as well. Now in this video, I'm going to talk you around the exterior. Not great. Show you the interior. I think there's 64 different colours it can go through. It's incredible. Try its technology.
You have not subscribed to this service.
See how practical it is. Take it for a drive. Damn it. And launch it to see how quick it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour. I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Car Wow. Right, I think I better come clean. You know, I said this is a new GLS. It's actually just a revised facelifted version. And to be brutally honest, the changes are quite minimal. But one thing that hasn't changed before we get into that, fake exhaust. Look, Car Wow stick of truth, fake, that leads nowhere. Look at that. Same on the other side, that leads nowhere. Oh. Couldn't get it in the hole then. Underneath here is where you'll see the actual exhaust. What a joke. Tell you what's also a joke. Look at the alignment of this panel here. This car has done about 1,500 miles. I don't know if it's had an accident in, been repaired, but that's pretty bad. And on this side, it's a little bit gappy as well. Not ideal for a car that costs as much as this. I'll come on to that in a moment. So changes. There's not many. Compared to the pre-facelifted version, this is now chromy down here. And the design of these tail lights is slightly different. Down the side, even fewer changes. Alloy wheels, they start at 22s and they rise to 23 inches. Looks pretty much the same as before. It's quite a big, imposing SUV. I don't mind the side profile at all. The rear's quite nice as well. But once again, look, this alignment here. I mean, maybe it's just me being a picky motoring journalist and customers won't notice that, but I really think for a brand like Mercedes, not great. Biggest changes on this revised GLS are here at the front, and it's this new bigger grille, which obviously is plastic. Massive Mercedes badge, very important, and another one up there just in case between looking from there and there you forgot which car you bought. This is what the old grille looked like. I do prefer this new grille, but I still don't think it's great. However, the grille on the AMG version looks much better. Have a look at this. I like that. Also, AMG cars have slightly more aggressive front lower parts of their bumpers as well, with actual air vents, although this is actually a breather to help smooth airflow down the side. It's not completely fake. Meanwhile, the AMG also has like the chromy bits in black chrome, yeah, for a sportier look. Also, you can get a Maybach version, which has more shiny chrome than the standard car, and another vertically slatted grille with many slats indeed. That one also has like some Maybach badging around the place as well. Anyhow, let's get back to the standard car. The starting price of this car is £108,000. Told you, panel gaps aren't acceptable at that price. And this particular model with options, £125,000. Here on the inside of the GLS, the updates are quite minimal. So you get this new steering wheel. So the old one looked like this. This now has these spokes, which looks sportier. You still have touch sensitive buttons though. And I'm not a big fan because sometimes when you're driving along, you accidentally brush them and change one of the functions. Another thing that's new are the trims here. This is actually an optional trim, open pore wood. I like the feel of it. I don't like the colour though. Reminds me of the furniture that my granny used to have in her house. You can get lighter colours and different colour trims as well. And depending on whether you go for the Maybach or the AMG, the trims are slightly different. Carbon for the AMG and piano black for the Maybach. You get leather seats as standard in this car, but this one has the optional napper, and I suggest you upgrade because it just feels so much nicer than the standard leather. Now the seats themselves, they're heated, they're cooled. Also, the central armrest and the arm here is heated, which is really nice and very welcome on a cold winter's day like today. And you've also got a heated steering wheel. And while we're here, of course, being a Mercedes, you can alter the position of the steering wheel electrically. And the seating position is pretty nice. You can sit reasonably low in it for a tour vehicle, if that makes sense, but the view out isn't so good then. You're probably going to want to jack this seat up very high because then it makes you feel like you're sat on a throne. I do think that a Range Rover feels posher than this car on the inside, and to see my full in-depth video review of a Range Rover, just click on the pop-out banner appearing up there right now. Other thing I need to tell you, the infotainment system. They have tweaked this. It's the very latest Mercedes infotainment system. I was waiting for it to activate the voice assistant then. It sometimes does when you say the MERCEDES word. Thankfully it didn't. One of the good things about this is that as well as being touch operated and being able to be operated through voice commands, which I don't want to actually get involved with, you can use this trackpad as well. So you can just rest your hand there when you're driving and operate it, which you may find easy. It's good to have the option. And what's also good is that as part of the changes, Mercedes has left the climate controls well alone, so they are separate to the infotainment system, so you can quickly change the settings such as your temperature and fan speed really easy when you're driving without having to mess around in menus. In terms of practicality, it's got some storage here with USB-C there. Underneath here you have 2 cup holders. Interestingly, you see this button here? Press it once and it will cool your drink. Press it again and then it will heat the drink. And you've probably noticed that little LED changing colour. These cup holders are quite large, so if you have a small bottle like that, it doesn't do a good job of keeping it in place. We have wireless charging down here, and it will fit even an awkward sized phone like my Fold in a case. And then you've got 2 of the USB-Cs down there and your old school 12 volter. In terms of the glove box, let's have a look at that. Decent enough space, and I'll tell you a bit more about that. Not yet, later on. You might have noticed, look, we've got LEDs, interior and ambient lighting, all standard, and it can cycle through different colours. I think there's 64 different colours it can go through. It's incredible. But as you can see, it doesn't really work with this kind of like slightly old-fashioned colour of wood trim. Now, one of the things about these Mercedes cars is that sometimes the bits and pieces that you touch, like this over here, like these door bins lower down, which are scratchy, and this stalk here and the other one, they just feel a little bit too cheap for a car at this price. However, I can't complain too much about this stalk because this is a gear selector, and I think this is the perfect place for any gear selector. You know, it's just too easy to use. I don't know why people have them down there, or worse still, with a Tesla up on the screen. Something else I haven't showed you, look at this. Oh, this is a good feature. Double visors. So if you're driving on a twisty road and the sun angle keeps changing while you're positioned to the sun, you know what I mean, then you can screen yourself from 2 sides, which is really handy. And there is one last thing I've forgotten to show you. It's this, look. It's the door bins. They are big. Oh, huge bottle, loads of room down there. Actually, there's one more thing I've forgotten to tell you. I'm having a bad day. The digital dials. So one thing I like about these is that you can actually change the look of them. You can go for an understated look. No, thank you. You can go for a sporty look. No, thank you. And you should go for the classic look. Yes. And then within them, you can cycle through loads of different information. Here in the back seats, there's a lot of space. Loads of knee room. Plenty of foot space. You can really stretch your feet out underneath the seat in front as well. Headroom is a plenty. And you get this nice glass roof as standard. So if you need to carry 3 people in the back at once, this middle seat is usable, though I have found that if you try to move across into the middle, you can bash your leg off this protruding centre console. But once you're in, it's not the most comfortable middle seat, but it is okay. And this is quite a wide car, so even with 3 adults in the back at once, you can get comfy. Also, because these doors open nice and wide and there's so much space in here, it's easy to fit a child seat. What is not ideal is the covers for the Isofix. Well, they look quite cool. The way you flip them out means that they can get in the way a bit when you're trying to mount that seat. But once that job is done, there's plenty of space and you can easily fit a bulky rear-facing seat in this car. Now, I need to explain to you the different seat options. So there's this 3-seater bench across the middle. If you go for the Maybach version, it's either a 5-seater only or a 4-seater. With the 4-seater version, you get luxurious first-class style seats. That being said, you can still move the seats in the standard GLS electrically forwards. Look, even if I go all the way forwards, still plenty of knee room. You can also recline them a bit. Look, go on, let's recline to make yourself comfortable, and even the headrests are electrically operated. Speaking of which, love the soft cushions, very nice. Now if I fold this down, I would say that you have an armrest, but not so much. Let me explain what's going on here. Underneath here, some storage with 2 USB-Cs in there. Then you've got your wireless charging for your mobile phone. But because this is the business version of the GLS, which is the top of the range of the standard car, excluding the AMG and the Maybach, you then get this tablet here where you can control different things. You can also remove the tablet if you want to lose it. But you basically have the full Mercedes operating system there. Alternatively, you can just use these screens which come as standard with the business version. Annoyingly though, you can't seem to remove them easily, which you might want to prevent them getting stolen or to free up space. But once again, you can control lots of features, including massage function for these seats, which comes as standard on this business version. So too does heated and cooled outer rear seats in this middle row. That's quite a lot of kit. No wonder this car is so expensive. All models get climate control here in the middle row. As you can see, it's dual zone. Just turn that off so we don't get too much noise. And there's some storage here. Decent sized door bins. Oh, which look, it's where you keep the headphones for this rear entertainment system. Bet you'll fit a big bottle in there. And let's just do it while we're here. Did the back windows go all the way down? Oh yeah, that's a good thing. Huge windows as well, great view out for rear passengers. One thing I should point out, remember I was moaning about the cup holder in the front not being able to hold this bottle tightly? Well look, they've got a little cup holder here that's more designed for things like this and energy drinks. Anyway, let's check out the third and final row. I'll tidy this all up later, don't worry about it. Okay, so to get into the very rear, put a little switch there. Let it do its thing. Oh. More on that later. Okay, so let's get into the back. I'm going to move this seat out of the way so you can see what's going on from this side. Hopefully an editor has speeded this up somewhat. If not, I apologise. Okay, so let's push this up. So here in the very back, headroom's actually pretty decent. Right, a knee room is passable. However, if you're carrying an adult in the front seat, then the middle seat, and you want someone in this seat, you're going to have to move the middle seat forward slightly. But because there's so much room, the middle person is going to be fine in terms of knee room. What you will have to do though is put the seat back a bit more upright like this one is. And then this isn't quite as comfortable as the car could be. I do think that a BMW X7 is slightly more comfortable overall when you have 7 people in all the seats. Not 7 people in all the, you know what I mean. Now, other things to point out here in the back. That's quite a decent window to look out of. There is 2 USBs there, USB-Cs, and you have them over the other side. Plus, what's this? Oh, that's obviously for the boot. We'll move on to the boot in a moment. What does that do? Ah, slow, isn't it? Yes, let's go to the boot. So, can I put all the seats back into their original position from here? I've got a horrendous feeling I can't. Yeah, look. Come on. No, that's not the right button. Oh. Right, I was going to talk you through the different stages of the boot, but I think you can sort of see for yourself what happened there. The entry-level car doesn't have electrically operated rearmost seats, only the middle row is electrically operated. This being the business has the full electrical operation, which is quite handy. Obviously with all the seats folded down, there's plenty of room, it's a flat load floor, it's easy to just load this thing up. And if you think, wait a minute, this is all a little bit too high up, don't worry. If I press this button, come on, go on. Do it. Do it. Is it going down? Oh, good. Oh, there. Look, it has. It's gone down. So now it's easy to load things in. Let's talk through some of the other functionality back here. So, what we got? What's this? 12-volt socket. Ooh la la. Tie down points. Some more up there as well. And let's have a look under here. Look, I like that. Extra storage. And in particular, a place to put the load cover. So that won't be getting yeeted. I'm just going to put these seats back up. So if I go to the second row, pull this, let's put them back up and you'll see what the boot is like in the 5-seat configuration, absolutely massive. If you want some stats, I'll give you them on screen right now. Let's put this rearmost row back up. There we go. And you know what, for a 7-seater, that's still a decent sized boot. Once again, here are the stats for that. Now, if you want to compare those to some other cars, there you go. Isn't it good what you can do in post-production? Not everything about this car is perfect. Let's move on to 5 annoying things about the Mercedes GLS. This is the £125,000 car that's only done 1,500 miles, yet look at the condensation in these headlights. It's terrible. And if you look at the other side, it's there too. Look at the drip marks. It's as though the car has been crying. In fact, if I bought this and I had this kind of condensation in the headlights, I'd be crying too. The ambient lighting from this part of the car reflects in the side window, so the one from over here is reflecting over there. Can you see it? So when you're driving along, you just pick it up in your peripheral vision and it's a bit like, what the heck is that? Oh yeah, it's that. It's distracting. These running boards are all for show, and apart from the aesthetics, they're a little bit of a pain. You see, they provide negative help when trying to get into the car, because when you try and stand on them and it's a bit slippy, you can easily slip off. Also, they're not quite low enough down from the actual step itself that you're never going to use them, you're just going to get in like that. And this is where there's another problem with them, because when you do get in like that, or out like that, you end up rubbing the backs of your trousers on the edge, and then your trousers are dirty, so I'm going to have to wash them. I'm not going to get another day's wear out of these now. And like with most of this car's competition, you cannot get a plug-in hybrid version, only a diesel or a petrol, so no company car tax breaks then. You've got a big back window, but a reasonably small window wiper. So when you try to clean it off, go give it a spray. You're only really clearing this little area here for visibility. The car's got very moist.
It's not all negative though. Here's 5 good things about this car.
All GLSs come with reinforced underfloor body panels to protect the chassis when you're going off-road. Now, you used to be able to get that as an option in the pre-facelift version, but now you get it as standard. The GLS is fitted with a really useful red light camera, so when you pull up at a set of traffic lights like this and then you stop, you get this view here, and it's really good. You know when you sometimes get too close to the lights, you're like, oh, I can't see whether it's going to change. You can just look on here. This camera, which is actually housed just up there, that doubles as a dash cam, so if you have an accident, it will record what happened, which you can choose whether or not to use when making a claim. You get soft closed doors. There's just something about them. Oh, that is so luxury, look. It's really handy, you know when you have people that get in your car and they get out, they're not used to your car and they can't shut the door properly? Lewis, you're one of these people. Doesn't matter with this, they just gently push the door to, and then it does the rest. The car comes as standard with some features that make it feel a little bit like you're in a moving spa. For instance, there's the massage seats, which really do give a good massage, and even massage your bottom if you pay extra. No, it comes as standard. And there's a fragrance system which will just exude pleasant scents through the vents. All they need now is the whale music. To prevent the reversing camera from getting covered in road grime, it's hidden away underneath this panel, and when you put the car into reverse, it then pops out like a Randy Daxon's lipstick. I'll show you what I mean. I guess it's not red, but you get the idea. Put it away, you dirty bugger. You can get the GLS with 4 different engines. There's this 3-litre straight-six turbo diesel, which has 370 horsepower. Alternatively, you could get a 3-litre straight-six turbo petrol with 380 horsepower. Then there's the Maybach, which has a 4-litre twin-turbo V8 with 560 horsepower, or the AMG 63, which has a 4-litre twin-turbo V8 but with 612 horsepower. Regardless of which model you go for, you get a 9-speed automatic gearbox as standard and all-wheel drive. Time to find out what this GLS is like to drive, starting with in town. First thing to note, you sit nice and high, which makes you feel suitably special. Visibility is really good as well. The view forward's great, huge door mirrors, decent sized back window, and you've got lots of glass at the rear quarters, so you can see out quite easily when you're looking over your shoulder and pulling out of junctions, which is handy when you're just manoeuvring around town. The air suspension is generally nice and comfy and just feels luxurious the way it deals with bumps, but it's not perfect. You do get this slight sensation of the car rocking from side to side when you go down in a bump on one wheel but not the other. You know, a bit like you're sat on a boat and you've just been hit sideways on by a biggish wave. Anyway, let's check the turning circle out. It is 12.5 metres. And the way this car's parked here, I don't know if I'm going to get around. Let's see if it'll automatically engage the parking sensors and the camera system when I get close. Please do that, otherwise I'm going to hit this car. Why aren't you doing it? Really? Really? You haven't engaged it? Maybe I just wasn't close. Let's have a look. Bring up the camera. That was blooming close! It was worthy of a beep, surely. But, oh look, I've got room to get round. Graphics on this, absolutely brilliant. Question is, am I going to get round here without curbing? It's going to be impossible. I think I'm going to just go that curb. Hopefully it's not a high curb. Because if it is, I just curb this wheel. I think I'm going to get out and see if I just curb this wheel. I might have just curbed this wheel. Damn it. That's testing cars for you. Apologies in advance, Mercedes, if I curb the wheel. Fortunately, I did not curb the wheel. Even though these alloys look like they might be easily curbed, the way the tyre sits out does protect them. Phew. Okay. That camera is so good though. I knew I was going to curb it. I just continued. It was silly of me, but everything is okay. Anyway, back to the turning circle. Not quite as good as a Volvo XC90. I'd have made that round without touching the curb because it's got a turning circle of under 12 metres. However, better than a BMW X7 in that I would have just wouldn't even made it past that car because it's got a turning circle over 13 metres. Now that does just make the car a little bit easier to drive because it is, for a big thing, reasonably manoeuvrable. Plus, the engine and gearbox work really well together. It's super smooth and very easy to drive. And this car really focuses on comfort, and you can tell that with the brake pedal because there's quite a long travel in it. So you can really just slow this thing as gradually or as urgently as you like. It's very easy to control the braking. Don't know why I said it in that voice, but it kind of to illustrate that it is rather posh feeling. Steering's not perfect though, and I'll explain why in a bit. Okay, so I'm on some faster roads now, and let's test the performance of this engine and how responsive the gearbox is on kickdown. So 40 mile an hour, I want to overtake, floor it. It's pretty good. Yeah, there's plenty of performance from this engine. Really, really strong. That beeping you heard was the fact that the car's sensors thought I was getting too close when overtaking the car in front, and so it warned me and actually shook my seatbelt a little bit to go, hey, what are you doing, you idiot? But everything was fine. Now here at 70 miles an hour on this dual carriageway, very comfy car. Bit of wind noise from those large door mirrors, little bit of road noise. But there is one thing I'm noticing about the suspension. When I hit a bump, especially if it's just like a bump which affects one wheel, from the rear axle I can feel it skipping slightly, and the sensation reminds me a little bit like, you know, when you're just walking on some slippery surface, you're not really thinking about it, then all of a sudden you like slip a bit on your heel, but your body catches you, your reflex just does the job and it stops you falling over, but you're there thinking, wait a minute, I could have really fallen over there, even though you didn't. It's kind of like that. This car sometimes skips a little bit because the suspension isn't great at just controlling things when it's suddenly surprised. Anyhow, I tell you what's also a bit odd. This is a diesel, it's supposed to be economical, and Mercedes claims 32 miles to the gallon, though I'm only averaging 23. Oh dear, still it'd be worse with the petrol. And I do think that the diesel engine really suits this car. I think people have been unnecessarily put off diesels, and sometimes they're the best engine for the job, and in this type of vehicle I really think they still are. Not plug-in hybrids, diesels. Anyway, let's put the car into dynamic mode. We're going to see what it's like through the corners. Now that's stiffened up the suspension ever so slightly, though the difference isn't that great. There's a bit more weight to the steering, but the engine and gearbox do feel a bit more punchy. It does feel quite quick. You know, this is a heavy car, yet it's very responsive, and it actually does a good job of going down a twisty road. There is one thing that's not great. The steering's like doesn't seem to do anything at first until you turn it a bit more, then the car does start like just turning into the bends. I'm going more than quick enough to keep up with that Alpha in front of me. I'm in this big Mercedes SUV. It actually handles really well for a big, heavy, tall vehicle. You can certainly go down this road faster than the speed limit will allow you. What more do you need from it? Nothing. In fact, you know what? I don't think it even needs to be in dynamic. Let's just go back into comfort. Still keep up with that Alpha. You actually get quite a lot of confidence driving this quickly down a twisty road. It just feels solid, tank-like and reassuring. Exactly how it should be with a Mercedes SUV. Now, to be fair, if I'm being brutally honest, I do think the BMW X7 drives slightly better. Not only is the suspension a little bit more composed, the car feels even more sure-footed. Anyway, if you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-out banner up there or follow the link in the description below. Now let's see how quick this diesel version of the Mercedes GLS is from 0 to 60 miles an hour. Here we go. Left foot on the brake, boost it, release the brake. Feels quick, good traction as well. What we got? 5.72 seconds to 60. Now Mercedes quote a 0 to 100 kilometers an hour time, 0 to 62 of 6.1, so yeah, I have no reason to doubt them. It's quick.
You have not subscribed to this service. To use it, you first have to activate the service in the Mercedes Me app.
So then, what's my final verdict on the new Mercedes GLS? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should consider the GLS. It's a decent enough luxury 7-seat SUV. It's just that other cars do that better. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. It really helps us out. And let me know what you think of my verdict on this car in the comments below. If you click on the video windows, you can watch some more videos. Thanks for watching.